Close your eyes. Let the sounds of the modern world fade away. We are traveling back in time, not hundreds, but thousands of years. Back to the cradle of civilization, to a land of sun-baked earth and winding rivers called Mesopotamia. Here, beneath the sands, lies the first great story of humanity. This is the Epic of Gilgamesh, a tale written on clay tablets, rediscovered after 4,000 years. It is the story of a king who was part god, part man. A story of tyranny, friendship, adventure, loss, and the eternal human quest to understand mortality. Are you ready to listen? Our story begins in the great city of Uruk. Imagine its walls, the first ever built around a city. They are tall and strong, baked by the sun, shining like copper. These walls are the work of one man, its king. They are his pride and his fortress. Feel the warmth of the clay bricks beneath your feet. And who is this king? He is Gilgamesh, 2/3 God, 1/3 man. His beauty is perfect, his strength unmatched. He walks among his people not as a shepherd, but as a wild bull. Arrogant, powerful, and unchecked. He sees what he wants, and he takes it. The young men of Uruk are exhausted by his endless demands for games and contests of strength. No son is left with his father, for Gilgamesh takes them all for his own glory. The sounds of joy in the city have been replaced by whispers of fear and resentment. The young women of Uruk hide from his gaze. He claims the right of the Lord, the droit du Seigneur, taking every bride on her wedding night before she can be with her husband. The city's heart is breaking under the weight of its perfect, terrible king. The people of Uruk can bear it no longer. They lift their voices, not to their king, but to the heavens. Their prayers are a torrent of sorrow, pleading with the gods who created Gilgamesh. He has become too much for us. Create his equal, let them contend, and let Uruk have peace. The gods hear the cries. Anu, the god of the firmament, listens to the people's lament. He turns to the great mother goddess, Aruru. You created Gilgamesh, he says, now create his double. Let there be one to match the storm of his heart, a rival. So Aruru, the creator, washes her hands. She takes a pinch of clay and throws it into the vast wilderness outside the city walls. And from this divine clay she fashions a new being, a wild man. His name is Enkidu. Enkidu is born of the wild. His body is covered in matted hair. He knows nothing of cities or people. His companions are the gazelles, the wild beasts of the plains. He drinks with them from the water holes and eats grass alongside them. He is pure, raw nature. A trapper, a hunter of the plains, discovers Enkidu. The trapper is terrified. This is no man, but some kind of beast spirit. Enkidu protects the animals. He fills in the trapper's pits and tears down his snares. The trapper cannot make a living. His fear turns to frustration. The trapper goes to his father for advice. Go to Uruk, his father says. Find Gilgamesh. Tell him of this wild man. Ask him to send a temple woman, a courtesan named Shamhat. Her allure is stronger than any trap. She will tame him, and the wild beasts will abandon him. And so the trapper journeys to Uruk and tells his tale to Gilgamesh. The king is intrigued. A man as strong as himself, a being born of the wild? He agrees. Go, trapper. Take with you the beautiful Shamhat. Let her show him what it is to be a man. Shamhat, adorned in fine linen and fragrant oils, travels with the trapper for 3 days. They arrive at the watering hole where Enkidu is known to drink. She is not afraid. She understands her role is not one of seduction, but of initiation, a bridge between two worlds. On the 3rd day the herd arrives, and with them Enkidu. He sees Shamhat, a creature unlike any he has ever known. He stops, frozen by her beauty and grace. The animals sense the change and slowly back away. He is drawn to her, a force of nature meeting a force of civilization. For 7 days and 7 nights, Shamhat stays with Enkidu. She speaks to him, teaches him. She shares bread, a food he has never tasted, and ale, a drink he has never known. He learns the ways of humanity not through force, but through tenderness and wisdom. When the week is over, Enkidu seeks out his old friends, the animals, but as he approaches, the gazelles flee. The wild beasts of the steppe turn away from him. He has changed. He smells of man. He is no longer one of them. For the first time, Enkidu feels utterly alone. He returns to Shamhat, his strength diminished, his wild spirit troubled. But his mind is awake. He now has understanding, wisdom. You are wise, Enkidu, Shamhat says. You have become like a god. Why roam the wild? Come with me to Uruk. I will lead you to Gilgamesh, a man of perfect strength. Enkidu, who has only known the whispers of the wind, now hears of a king's arrogance. Shamhat tells him of Gilgamesh's tyranny, how he takes the brides for himself. A fire of justice ignites in Enkidu's heart. I will go, he declares. I will challenge him. I will shout in Uruk, I am the strongest. Their journey to Uruk begins. Along the way they stop at a shepherd's camp. Here Enkidu tastes cooked food, wears clothes for the first time. He stands guard at night, his wild senses protecting the flock from lions and wolves. He becomes a hero to the simple shepherds. Finally, they arrive at the great gates of Uruk. The people gather and stare in amazement at this powerful, hairy man. They whisper, "He looks like Gilgamesh, but shorter. He is built with the strength of the heavens." Enkidu has found a new wilderness, a wilderness of people. A man runs past, carrying platters of food for a wedding feast. He announces that Gilgamesh is on his way to the wedding house to claim the bride. This is the moment Enkidu has been waiting for. He goes and stands, a mountain of a man, blocking the doorway. He will not let the king pass. Gilgamesh arrives. He, the king, the bull of Uruk, finds his path blocked. He sees Enkidu, his equal, his double, sent by the gods. Rage and recognition flash in his eyes. Without a word, they lock together. The great contest begins. They wrestle like two mighty bulls. The doorpost shatters, the walls of the house shake, the ground itself trembles beneath their feet. They are perfectly matched, a storm of a heart meeting its echo. The people of Uruk watch in terrified awe. This is the battle they prayed for. Finally, with a mighty effort, Gilgamesh forces Enkidu to one knee. He has won, but as he looks down at his rival, his anger fades. He sees not an enemy, but himself. He sees the strength he has longed for in a companion. Enkidu looks up and speaks. "You are unique, Gilgamesh. Your mother made you a king without rival." And in that moment, the fight is over. They embrace. The tyrant king and the wild man, two halves of a whole, become inseparable friends. Uruk has peace, but a new greater story is about to begin. Peace settles over Uruk. The two friends are inseparable. They walk the city streets, heroes in the eyes of the people. Gilgamesh's arrogance has softened, tempered by a true equal. Enkidu, the wild man, learns the ways of the city, but his heart still hears the call of the wild. Yet Gilgamesh grows restless. One day he speaks to Enkidu, his voice heavy with a new kind of sorrow. "My friend, we are all destined to die. One day my head will be covered by the earth. I am afraid. I want to make a name for myself that will last forever." His eyes gleam with a feverish idea. Far away, in the lands of the West, there is a great cedar forest. It is guarded by a terrible monster, a creature named Humbaba. We will go there, you and I. We will slay him and cut down the tallest cedar tree as a monument to our glory. Enkidu's face turns pale. He remembers the forest from his wild days. "I know this forest, my friend. I have been to its edge. Humbaba's roar is the flood, his breath is fire, and his jaws are death itself. He can hear a rustling leaf from 100 leagues away. Who would willingly enter his domain?" But Gilgamesh will not be swayed. Only the gods live forever. Our lives are short. What is a man but a puff of wind? If I die in this quest, I will at least have made a name for myself. They will say, "Gilgamesh fell fighting the mighty Humbaba. Come with me. With you by my side, what is there to fear?" Enkidu, moved by his friend's courage and bound by their deep bond, finally agrees, though his heart is heavy with dread. Their quest is set. First, they go to the forges of Uruk. They command the smiths to craft weapons worthy of heroes. The smiths forge 2 immense axes, each weighing 3 talents, 2 great swords, their hilts and blades weighing 30 minas each. They are weapons not for men, but for demigods. Gilgamesh and Enkidu arm themselves, ready for their journey into the unknown. They go before the elders of Uruk to announce their plan. The elders are wise and fearful. They warn Gilgamesh, "You are young, your heart carries you away. Do not trust in your strength alone. Let Enkidu go before you. He knows the paths, he has seen the beast. Protect your friend, and he will protect you." Lastly, Gilgamesh goes to the temple to see his mother, the goddess Ninsun. He tells her of his quest. She is heartbroken but understands his spirit. She dresses in her finest robes, burns sacred incense, and climbs to the roof of the temple to pray to the sun god, Shamash. "O Shamash," she cries, "why did you give my son such a restless heart? Now he journeys to a place of great danger, to face a battle he may not survive. I ask you, watch over him, guide him, keep him safe until he returns to the walls of Uruk." She then officially adopts Enkidu as her own son, making them true brothers. The journey is long and arduous. For 6 days they travel, covering in one day what would take an ordinary man a month and a half. They walk 500 leagues. Their pace is that of gods, their resolve unbreakable. Each night Enkidu digs a well and prepares their camp. Before they sleep, Gilgamesh performs a ritual. He draws a circle of flour on the ground and prays for a dream from the gods, a vision of what lies ahead. And each night the dreams come. They are dark and terrifying. In one dream, a mountain collapses, trapping them. In another, a terrifying bull attacks them. Each morning, Gilgamesh wakes in a cold sweat, his heart filled with dread. But Enkidu, his brother, is there to interpret the visions. "The mountain that fell," Enkidu says, "that is Humbaba. We will capture him. The bull that attacked you, that is the god Shamash. He is our protector. He will fight with us. Your dream is a good omen, my friend. We will be victorious." Enkidu's wisdom turns fear into courage. Finally, they stand at the edge of the great cedar forest. They gaze in wonder. The trees are colossal, their branches reaching for the heavens, casting the forest floor in a deep green shadow. The air is thick with the scent of cedar and an ancient, palpable power. But as they step inside, a terrible voice roars out, a sound that shakes the very ground. It is Humbaba, the guardian. "Who has entered my forest? Who has dared to disturb my sacred trees?" Fear, cold and sharp, grips Enkidu's heart. His hands tremble. "Remember your courage, my friend." Gilgamesh shouts over the roar. "Remember the words you spoke in Uruk. 2 men together cannot be defeated. A 3-stranded rope is not easily broken. Stand with me." His words are a fire that burns away Enkidu's fear. From the heavens, the sun god Shamash hears their plight. He unleashes 13 mighty winds against Humbaba, the north wind, the south wind, the whirlwind, the storm wind. They buffet the monster from all sides, blinding him, trapping him, preventing his escape. The 2 heroes charge. Gilgamesh swings his mighty axe. Enkidu strikes with his great sword. The battle is ferocious. Humbaba, the guardian, a being of immense power, is brought to his knees. He pleads for his life. "Spare me, Gilgamesh. I will be your servant. This forest will be yours." Gilgamesh's heart is moved to pity. For a moment he considers mercy, but Enkidu cries out, "Do not listen, do not trust him, he will betray you. Strike now before it is too late. Secure your glory." And so, with a final mighty blow, they slay the guardian of the cedar forest. They have achieved the impossible. They cut down the tallest cedar tree to make a great gate for the city of Uruk. They have won fame and glory. But by killing a servant of the gods, they have also sealed a terrible fate. Gilgamesh and Enkidu return to Uruk not just as kings and heroes, but as legends. They float down the Euphrates River on a raft made from the giant cedar, with the monstrous head of Humbaba displayed for all to see. The city erupts in celebration. After the long journey, Gilgamesh washes the grime of battle from his body. He combs his long, dark hair and ties it back with a fresh ribbon. He casts off his dirtied clothes and dons his magnificent royal robes, placing his crown upon his head. His divine beauty shines forth radiant as the sun. The glorious goddess Inanna, known as Ishtar, the goddess of love and war, watches him from her temple. She is captivated by his beauty and power. She descends to him, her voice like honey. "Come, Gilgamesh, be my husband. I will give you a chariot of lapis lazuli and gold, with wheels of amber." But Gilgamesh, his pride amplified by his victory, looks upon the goddess with scorn. "And what would I give you in return for being your husband? You are a broken door that lets in the wind, a shoe that bites its owner's foot. Your love is a ruin." He continues, cruelly listing the fates of her former mortal lovers. "You loved the lion, and you dug a pit for him. You loved the horse, and you condemned him to the whip. You loved the shepherd, and you turned him into a wolf. If I love you, will you not treat me the same?" Ishtar's face contorts with fury. Humiliated and enraged, she ascends to the heavens in a storm of divine anger. She goes before her father Anu, the king of the gods, and her mother Antu. Tears of rage stream down her face. "Father," she screams, "Gilgamesh has insulted me. He has listed all my shameful deeds. Give me the bull of heaven. I will unleash it upon Uruk. Let it destroy this arrogant king who dared to scorn me." Anu hesitates. "If I give you the bull of heaven," he warns, "there will be 7 years of famine in Uruk. Has the city stored enough grain? Have the people gathered enough fodder for the cattle?" "Yes." Ishtar lies, her rage making her reckless. "I have provided for the people and the animals. There is enough to survive the 7 years of emptiness." Her desire for revenge outweighs all caution. When Anu still hesitates, Ishtar plays her final terrifying card. "If you refuse me," she shrieks, "I will smash the doors of the netherworld. I will release the dead to feast upon the living. The dead will outnumber all who walk the earth." Terrified by this threat, Anu finally relents. He places the lead rope of the bull of heaven in Ishtar's hand. With a cry of triumph, the furious goddess leads the monstrous beast down from the heavens to the gates of Uruk to unleash devastation upon an unsuspecting city. The bull of heaven descends upon Uruk. It is a creature of immense and terrifying power. With its first snort, a chasm opens in the earth, and 100 young men of Uruk fall to their deaths. With its second snort, another chasm opens, and 200 more fall in. But Enkidu is a man of the wild. He is not frozen by fear of this divine beast. He leaps into action, intercepting the bull's charge. "My friend," he shouts to Gilgamesh, "we boasted we would win glory. Now we must prove it. I will grab it by the tail. You must thrust your sword between its neck and horns." Enkidu, with his wild strength, circles behind the beast. Like a dancer in a deadly game, he dodges the stomping hooves and seizes the bull's thick tail. He plants his feet, a living anchor, holding the rampaging monster in place for a crucial moment. Gilgamesh, seeing his chance, moves with the speed of a striking falcon. He is the warrior, the hunter. He runs towards the bull's head, his great sword held high. With a final powerful thrust, he plunges the blade deep into the base of the monster's skull. The bull of heaven shudders and collapses, dead. The two heroes have done the unthinkable. They have slain a divine beast sent by the gods themselves. They tear out its heart and offer it to the sun god Shamash in thanks for his protection. Ishtar watches from the walls of Uruk, her face pale with fury and disbelief. She lets out a curse, "Woe to Gilgamesh, who has insulted me and killed the bull of heaven." Enkidu, hearing the curse, is filled with the arrogance of victory. He rips off the bull's right thigh and hurls it at the goddess. "If I could lay my hands on you," he shouts, "this is what I would do to you as well." Ishtar, utterly humiliated, retreats with her priestesses in shame and rage. That night the celebration in Uruk is immense, but Enkidu has a dream. He sees the great gods in council, Anu, Enlil, Shamash. They are sitting in judgment. Their faces are grim. In his dream, Anu, the father god, speaks. "They have killed the bull of heaven, and they have killed Humbaba, the guardian of my cedar forest. Because of this, one of them must die." Enlil, the god of earth and wind, points a finger. "Let Enkidu die," he declares. "Gilgamesh shall not die." Shamash, the sun god who helped them, argues for their lives, but he is overruled. The fate is sealed. Enkidu awakens from his dream, a cold dread seeping into his very bones. He tells Gilgamesh what he has seen. "My brother, my dear brother, why am I the one they have condemned?" A profound sadness fills the palace, a silence deeper than any they have known. And so, the curse of the gods takes hold. Enkidu falls ill. He lies in his bed, his wild strength draining away like water into sand. For 12 days he suffers, his body racked with a sickness no healer in Uruk can understand or cure. In his feverish state, he begins to curse his fate. He curses the trapper who found him, and the great gate he made from the cedar tree. Most bitterly, he curses Shamhat, the woman who brought him to civilization. "May your life be filled with sorrow," he cries, "for you have brought me to this." But the sun god Shamash hears his bitter words from the heavens. "Enkidu," his voice echoes in the room, "why do you curse Shamhat? Did she not feed you bread fit for a god? Did she not give you ale fit for a king? Did she not give you the mighty Gilgamesh as your companion?" Hearing this, Enkidu's heart is softened. His anger fades, replaced by a wave of sorrowful acceptance. He takes back his curse and instead blesses Shamhat. Then he turns to Gilgamesh and describes his final, terrifying vision of the afterlife. "I saw the house of dust," he whispers, "where the dead go. They are clothed like birds, with wings for garments. They see no light, they live in darkness. Dust is their food, and clay is their meat. Kings and priests are but servants there, stripped of all their glory." With this final vision shared, his suffering ends. As the first light of dawn touches the horizon, Enkidu, the wild man, the great hero, the beloved friend, grows still. his heart beats no more. Gilgamesh touches his friend's chest. I touched his heart, but it does not beat. He veils his friend's face like a bride. He circles him like an eagle, pacing back and forth like a lioness robbed of her cubs. His roar of grief echoes through the halls of the palace. For 7 days and 7 nights he does not move from his friend's side, refusing to give him to the earth for burial, hoping against hope that his friend will rise at the sound of his cries. Only when a worm falls from his friend's nostril does he finally accept the terrible truth. A new terror now seizes Gilgamesh, a fear far greater than Humbaba. It is the fear of his own death. My friend, whom I loved so dearly, has become like clay, and shall I not also lie down and never rise again? He cannot bear the thought. He rips off his royal robes and dresses himself in the rough skins of a lion. His own mortality has become the new monster he must conquer. There is one man who is said to have escaped death. His name is Utnapishtim. I will go, Gilgamesh declares to the empty air. I will find Utnapishtim the faraway, who stood in the assembly of the gods and found eternal life. I will ask him the secret. I will not let death take me as it took my friend. His journey into the wilderness, his quest for immortality has begun. Gilgamesh wanders the wilderness, a king no more. He hunts wild beasts for food, his face gaunt from grief, his hair long and unkempt. By day he weeps for Enkidu, and by night he weeps for his own coming death. He travels towards the rising sun, to a place no mortal has ever gone. His journey leads him to the twin peaks of Mashu, the great mountains that guard the rising and setting of the sun. Their peaks reach the roof of heaven, and their foundations reach deep into the netherworld. This is the gate to the land of the gods, and no mortal may pass. The gate is guarded by 2 terrifying beings, a scorpion man and his wife. Their glance is death. Their aura is so fearsome it can shatter mountains. When they see Gilgamesh approaching, they are stunned. The one who comes to us, says the scorpion man, his body is the flesh of the gods. His wife replies, 2/3 of him is God, 1/3 is man. The male guard steps forward, his voice a rumble. Why have you traveled so far? Why have you come to this uncrossable place? Gilgamesh tells them everything. Of his beloved friend Enkidu, who is now dust, of his own terror of the same fate. He begs them to let him pass, to find Utnapishtim, his ancestor, who knows the secret of life and death. Moved by his grief, the scorpion man opens the great gate. The path is yours, Gilgamesh, he warns, but I tell you no one has ever completed it. You must travel for 12 double hours through absolute darkness. There is no light. Go now, and may you return safely. He enters the sun's tunnel. The darkness is total. He cannot see what is in front of him, nor what is behind. It is thick, heavy, a physical presence. After many leagues, with the wind howling in his ears and his heart pounding with fear, he screams out in terror, utterly alone in the void. He pushes on. After 10 double hours, he feels the first breath of fresh wind on his face. After 11, he sees a faint glimmer ahead. At the end of the 12th hour, he stumbles out of the tunnel, his eyes blinded by a light he thought he would never see again. He finds himself in a place of wonder, the garden of the gods. Here the trees bear fruit of carnelian, and their leaves are of lapis lazuli. Thorns and briars are made of shimmering jewels. It is a place of impossible beauty, a paradise at the edge of the world. He walks through this garden until he reaches the shore of a great sea, and there, keeping a tavern for the gods, is a wise woman named Siduri. She is veiled and sits, watching the endless ocean. When she sees this wild, haggard man in a lion's skin, she is afraid and bolts her door. Gilgamesh pounds on her door. "Tavern keeper, what did you see that made you bar your gate? If you do not open, I will smash this door and shatter this lock. I am Gilgamesh, slayer of Humbaba and the Bull of Heaven." Siduri, hearing his name, speaks through the door. "If you are that Gilgamesh who conquered all, why are your cheeks so thin? Why is your face so weathered by sorrow? Why do you wander the wild dressed in the skin of a beast?" His anger breaks. He tells her the story of Enkidu, his friend, his brother, the other half of his soul. He tells her of his own suffocating fear of death. "How can I be silent? How can I rest? My friend is now clay, and I will soon be the same. That is why I have come to find Utnapishtim." Siduri, understanding now, opens the door. She looks at the broken king and offers him the first real wisdom of his journey. "Gilgamesh, where are you hurrying to? You will never find the life that you are looking for. When the gods created man, they allotted him death, but life they retained in their own keeping. As for you, Gilgamesh," she continues softly, "fill your belly with good things. Day and night, dance and be merry. Let your clothes be fresh, bathe yourself in water. Cherish the little child who holds your hand, and make your wife happy in your embrace. For this too is the lot of man." But Gilgamesh cannot hear her. His grief is a wall around his heart. "No, tavern keeper, I must cross this ocean. Tell me which is the way to Utnapishtim. If it is possible, I will cross the sea. If not, I will wander the wilderness in sorrow." Siduri sighs, seeing that his quest cannot be stopped. "Gilgamesh, the sea is impossible. No one has ever crossed it. And once you are on it, you face the waters of death, which kill all who touch them. But there is one man, Urshanabi. He is the ferryman of Utnapishtim. You will find him in the forest," she explains, "with the stone things, the sacred stones that protect him from the waters. Go to him. If he is willing, you may cross with him. If not, you must turn back. But I warn you, Gilgamesh, your own anger is your greatest enemy now." Gilgamesh does not listen to her warning. His grief and impatience have turned to rage. He storms into the forest, his axe in his hand. When he finds Urshanabi and the sacred stone things, he sees them as just another obstacle. In a blind fury, he raises his axe and smashes them to pieces. Urshanabi, the ferryman, calmly approaches the raging king. "Tell me, who are you?" he asks. Gilgamesh repeats his story. When he is finished, Urshanabi simply points to the shattered stones. Your own hands, Gilgamesh, have prevented your crossing. The stone things protected us. Now, how will you cross the waters of death? There is one way, the ferryman says. Go back into the forest, cut 300 poles, each one 60 cubits long, coat them with bitumen and bring them to me. You will use each pole only once to push us across the waters, and when it is used you must cast it away, for your hand must never touch the deadly water. After his immense labor, the 300 poles are ready. He and Urshanabi launch the boat into the ominous sea. Gilgamesh takes the first pole, pushes against the seabed, and propels them forward. As the pole touches the waters of death, he casts it away. One by one, he repeats the grueling task. The 300 poles are gone, but they are not yet across. The boat slows, drifting helplessly towards the deadly waters. Without hesitation, Gilgamesh strips off his animal skins. Using his own body as a mast and his tattered clothing as a sail, he catches the faint wind, offering his own life force to complete the final stretch of the journey. On the distant shore, a man stands watching their approach. He is old, with a long white beard, but his eyes hold a strange, timeless quality. This is Utnapishtim the Faraway, the man who survived the great flood. He watches this desperate king approach his shore and wonders at the sight. Gilgamesh stumbles onto the shore and collapses, utterly spent. When he recovers his strength, he looks at Utnapishtim. I looked at you, he says, and I thought you would be a mighty warrior. But you are like me. You are a man lying at ease. Tell me, how did you join the assembly of the gods and find eternal life? Utnapishtim's answer is not what he expects. There is no permanence, Gilgamesh. Do we build a house to stand forever? Is a contract signed to last for all time? Life and death are decided by the gods. They do not reveal the day of our death. But seeing the king's despair, he agrees to tell his own story. I will reveal to you a secret of the gods, he says, the story of the great flood. Long ago, Utnapishtim begins, the great gods decided to destroy mankind. Their reasons were their own. But Ea, the god of wisdom, was clever. He came to my house, a simple hut of reeds, and he did not speak to me. He spoke to the wall. Reed wall, the god whispered, tear down your house and build a boat. Abandon your possessions and save your life. Take with you the seed of all living things. And I, hearing the message through the wall, understood. I built the boat in 7 days. It was a perfect cube with 7 decks. I waterproofed it with bitumen inside and out. I loaded it with all my gold, my silver, my family, and the seed of all the beasts of the field and the birds of the air. Then I sealed the door and waited. At the first light of dawn, a black cloud rose from the horizon. The storm began. It was so terrible that even the gods were afraid. They cowered in the highest heaven like beaten dogs. Ishtar screamed like a woman in childbirth. How could I have commanded such a thing? For 6 days and 7 nights the wind and the flood raged. On the 7th day the storm subsided. I opened a hatch and looked out. All of humanity had turned to clay. The world was flat and silent, covered by an endless sheet of water. The boat came to rest on the peak of Mount Nisir. I sent out a dove, but it returned. I sent out a swallow, but it returned. Finally, I sent out a raven. It found food, it ate, it circled, and it did not return. I knew the waters had receded. I made a sacrifice on the mountaintop, and the gods, smelling the sweet savor, gathered like flies. Enlil, who had caused the flood, was enraged that we had survived. But the wise god Ea calmed him. "It was I who saved them," he said. "Punish the sinner for his sin, but do not destroy all." Enlil's heart was changed. He took my wife and me by the hand, made us kneel, and blessed us. "Before you were mortal," he decreed, "but now you and your wife shall be like us gods, and live forever at the faraway source of the rivers." The fire crackles on the beach as Utnapishtim's story ends. Gilgamesh is silent. His quest, he now understands, was for a prize that can never be won again. "Now then, Gilgamesh," Utnapishtim says, his voice gentle but firm, "who will assemble the gods for your sake so that you can find the life that you are seeking. But I will give you a test, a small chance. Death is the twin of sleep. If you wish to conquer death, first you must conquer sleep. I challenge you, stay awake for 6 days and 7 nights." Gilgamesh, exhausted from his journey, sits down to begin the test. But as soon as he sits, a mist of sleep, like a fog rolling in from the sea, envelops him. His quest, his grief, his immense journey, it all dissolves as he slumps over, instantly and deeply asleep. Utnapishtim looks at his wife with a gentle, knowing smile. "Look at this strong man who wants eternal life," he says. "Sleep, like a storm, has blown him over." His wife feels pity. "Wake him, my husband. Let him return to his land in peace." "Mankind is deceptive," Utnapishtim replies. "He will try to deceive us and say he never slept. So you must bake a loaf of bread for him each day he sleeps. Place it by his head and make a mark on the wall for every day that passes." On the 7th day, Utnapishtim touches Gilgamesh, and the king awakens. "I barely slept," Gilgamesh says immediately. "A moment's drowsiness and you woke me." Utnapishtim says nothing. He simply points to the 7 loaves of bread. "Count the loaves, Gilgamesh. This first one is hard and dry. The second is brittle. The third is soggy, with spots of mold. The 6th is still fresh. And this 7th one, it was just taken from the coals as I woke you. You slept for 7 days. You cannot even conquer sleep. How can you hope to conquer death?" Gilgamesh is broken. His quest is over. He has failed. "What shall I do, Utnapishtim? Wherever I go, death is there." Utnapishtim tells Urshanabi to take the king, wash him in the sea, give him fresh clothes, and prepare him for the journey home. But as he is about to leave, Utnapishtim's wife whispers to her husband, "He came all this way. He is weary. Will you not give him a gift for his journey home?" Utnapishtim, his heart softened, calls Gilgamesh back. "I will tell you another secret," he says. "At the bottom of the sea there is a plant. It has thorns like a rose and will prick your hands. But if you can obtain this plant, it is the old man becomes young again. It will not give you eternal life, but it will restore your lost youth. Hope, a thing he thought he had lost forever, floods back into Gilgamesh. He ties heavy stones to his feet, opens his arms, and plunges into the deep. He walks the seabed until he finds the thorny plant. Though it tears his hands, he grasps it firmly and cuts himself free, returning to the surface with his prize. Urshanabi, he cries in triumph, this is the plant of rejuvenation. I will take it back to Uruk. I will give it to the old men to eat, and they will become young again. And then I myself will eat it and return to the glory of my youth. His plan is no longer for himself alone, but for his people. On their journey home, they stop for the night by a cool pool of water. While Gilgamesh bathes, a serpent, drawn by the sweet fragrance of the plant, slithers silently from the water. It seizes the plant and carries it away. As it goes, it sheds its old skin, leaving it behind on the ground, renewed. Gilgamesh finishes his bath and turns to find his prize gone. He sees the shed skin and the trail of the serpent. He sits down and weeps, not with the rage of a king, but with the quiet, bitter despair of a mortal man. For whom have my hands labored? For whom has my heart's blood been spent? I have gained nothing for myself. It is the serpent who has won the prize. The rest of the journey is silent. Gilgamesh, now side by side with Urshanabi the ferryman, finally arrives back at his great city. He looks up at the towering walls of Uruk, the very walls he had built in his youth, in his arrogance. But now he sees them with new eyes. He turns to Urshanabi, and for the first time his voice holds no grief, no rage, no desperation. It holds only a quiet, profound pride. Look at these walls, Urshanabi. Survey the foundation, examine the brickwork. Is it not made of the finest baked brick? Did not the 7 wise men themselves lay its foundations? Climb the wall of Uruk, Urshanabi. Walk along its top. 1 square mile is city, 1 square mile is orchards, 1 square mile is clay pits, and then there is the precinct of the temple. All of this I built, all of this will remain. In that moment, he understands. A man cannot live forever. His body will turn to clay, just like Enkidu's. But the work of his hands, the city he built, the stories he created, the wisdom he gained, these things can endure. This is the only immortality a mortal can achieve. And so, Gilgamesh, the great king of Uruk, returned to his people. He ruled them not as a tyrant, but as a wise king who had looked into the abyss and understood the true value of a single human life. He lived, he loved, and when his time came, he met his fate as all mortals must. But he did one last thing. He took a stone tablet and a stylus, and he carved into it the entire story of his long and weary journey, everything you have just heard. He placed this tablet in the foundations of the great walls of Uruk, so that anyone who came after him might read it and learn. He learned that friendship is a treasure worth dying for. He learned that the fear of death can drive a person to the ends of the earth. And he learned that while no one can escape their mortal fate, the life we build and the legacy we leave behind are our own defiant cry against the silence of eternity. The story of Gilgamesh is over. It is the first great adventure, the first epic poem, the first heroic quest. Written on clay 4,000 years ago, it remains a timeless echo of our own search for friendship, for meaning, and for a legacy that will outlast us. Thank you for listening.